Hi, hello. Welcome to Collaboratory, the show where Mike Morris improvises an animatic with a little help from our audience, and we learn about the craft of storyboarding along the way. My name is Mike Collins, and I'll be your host for today. For those of you who might not know, this is an improv art stream that runs on audience suggestions. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
What kind of prompts are you looking for today from the audience?
So there's three things, the basic building blocks of any story is we need characters, we need setting, and we need a conflict. And with those, we can make pretty much anything.
All right.
And
so what we need from, yeah, that's right. This is, I believe this is the 50th episode. Is that right? Did we learn that along the way?
Technically, I think so. Yeah. Yeah. We've my screen here says episode 44, but we've also done a couple of specialty episodes. So I think all in all, that total, that might be correct.
Okay.
Which is really fun. You know, we've been doing this for a few years now, and it's always a good time to see what people come up with because, you know, I feel like creativity so often just comes from being in the right circumstance.
Well, I'm a big fan of collaboration in general, which is the whole point of this stream. You know, coming together, getting different ideas, getting different thoughts from a variety of sources, and being able to work together and play in a sandbox that ultimately is a lot of fun. You know, resulting in something that unexpected and you know, exciting and funny and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you know, we were just talking before the show about going to Comic Cons and such, and you know, we're both going to be at Comic-Con Revolution this coming May. And Ontario, California, everybody, come on down. But I think that's another one of those like really, really creative environments. So you get people of all different walks of life coming around. And, you know, you talk about storytelling. You talk about, because like comics and storyboarding are not that far off. Just one of them's in motion and one of them's not. But the storytelling principles kind of carry over. And I think that's why you see like so many comic book artists become storyboard artists. You know, a lot of people from that.
And I've found that those that storyboard are familiar with storyboarding. For me, their visuals are a lot more interesting, even in static form. Like we're not getting an animatic like we're doing today, but their panel flow seems to work better, in my opinion. I'm sure someone would debate me, but I know who I like and what I look for.
Well, you know, I'm sure that the chat will have a very lively discussion about that. But yeah, I think so too, because there's a certain sense of cinematography that you can get from storyboarding that you don't necessarily get from straight comics, because you're not seeing it like, how do I explain this? So like when you're looking at a storyboard screen like this one, right? You know, you've got this this one screen that you're looking at, and it's like persistent, right? So if you look at something, you've got you know, a dot right here. Let me just add a panel really quick, and then in the next panel, it's right here, right? So you go back and forth, and it's on a persistent space. So I feel like that gives you a relationship between those two images that you normally wouldn't get in like a comics panel, because they're all laid out in a different way.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so what we need then is suggestions. So
yes,
audience.
So bring it on, audience.
Jump in with your suggestions. Characters, setting, conflict, start, get those hamster wheels rolling, and whatever you type might show up on screen.
Yeah. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about your journey in animation, because, you know, we've had a lot of really great guest hosts over the years, but I think out of all the hosts that we've had, I've known you the longest, and we kind of started our careers around the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Like Mike said, we've known each other for almost 25 years now at this point. So, and I believe we've both been in the industry for about 20. Is that right? Thereabouts?
About that, yeah. Yeah, about 2006 for me.
Okay. Yeah, I was an intern at Cartoon Network in 2004, and then a PA in 2005. So yeah, I've been in the industry for about 20 years. So yeah, so I started off. We went to different schools, but we've been friends for that long as artists, and we have mutual friends and whatnot. And I ended up getting an internship, like I said, at Cartoon Network, and then that was able to roll over into a production assistant job on the original Ben 10. And from there, I moved into cleanup. I was a character cleanup artist at Cartoon Network for about 5 years, and then continued to do cleanup until I saw the writing on the wall, and I transitioned from that to prop design. And so I've been around town. I've been Cartoon Network for 5 years, DreamWorks for 5 years, Disney for a little over a year, Nickelodeon, Warner Brothers. I've had, we joke that we're guns for hire. We're mercenaries. We go where you pay us. We'll do what you want us to do artistically, and we go from there. And so it's been a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I love that it's something that I dreamed about doing since I was 10, and I've been able to make a career out of it, and it's a lot of fun. It's a hustle. It's a struggle, but end of the day, I get paid. We get paid to make pictures. How cool is that?
It's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. And, I think more and more the barriers are being broken down. I mean, look at Storyboard Pro. People can make their own films in Storyboard Pro, even if they're not like fully in between. Obviously, if you want to go with full animation, Harmony is a better package to do 2D animation with, because you can do, traditional, you can do rig, you can do a lot of stuff. You can get a lot of things in there. But I've noticed on different social media sites that even the short form stuff, you almost can do it in a really like a nice animatic style. Now I've seen a lot more of that kind of stuff come up, and it's almost just as interesting because the ideas are there,
And I agree. If I was telling this, so I have a 15-year-old son who wants to work in animation, and he's taking the animation class at his high school. And I was telling him, you in high school as a ninth grader have the tools that I only dreamed about having when I was in college.
Yeah.
So the technology is such that it has advanced so quickly and is now available to people much easier, that they can take those tools and with tutorials and online learning, and you can take all of that knowledge that has been amassed over the last 50 years and really, as an independent, do your own thing. And it's exciting, and I look forward to seeing what he does, and I look forward to seeing what other people do, and Toon Boom and Harmony are kind of bridging that gap. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things about the Toon Boom software is it's based on traditional techniques. But we don't look at a lot of the things here besides this timeline view in Storyboard Pro. But like if you go to this panel here, you can see what a much more familiar sight in some of the storyboards you'd get in like a pack. In a studio, where we see this kind of 3-panel layout. And in this case, for me, it's 2 panels, but we have these. Well, actually, it's only 2 panels because I only have 2 panels right now in the actual storyboard project. But like doing something like we had talked about with like let's do like a quick.
We've got some suggestions rolling in. Do you want to kind of pivot and use some of these suggestions?
Yeah, let's do that.
Go there? All right, we've got one. The plural of 0 suggested a renegade knight from a steampunk ocean kingdom. And then we have
that's not complicated at all. All right.
Yeah. We have another one. Winowski said, "Can you storyboard a tennis game scene?" And then,
oh, dude, we've got
Rion.
Steampunk Knights playing tennis.
Okay, and then the last one that came up, we have a commercial about about how tough guys should sleep with nightlights. So, is there anything from there you can pull from? I like the Steampunk Knights playing tennis. That's a good one.
Okay. Here we go. So, Steampunk Knights playing tennis, and each of them like take breaks throughout to do like a mini commercial.
Okay.
Okay, all right. I think we need to do a nice establishing shot of like some sort of like elaborate looking castle, right?
Okay.
With like all of the minarets and like the towers and, you know,
I can't see your screen. Is your screen share off?
Hold on, let me make sure.
I lost it, so I can't see it.
Oh, there we go.
I gotcha.
Something happened.
Okay.
We're back.
There we go.
All right, we're back. Yeah.
Crisis averted.
All right, so let's do this sort of thing, this sprawling sort of city castle, and there's, you know, some sort of little village or something right here. You know, we're not going to do like often on the Collaboratory. We're not making pretty drawings. We're not interested as much in pretty drawings as we are in the storytelling of it. That's where designers and visual development artists really shine. And you know, who are we to take their thunder, right? So
all part of the process.
You know, we'll put like some village buildings and stuff around here, and maybe like, you know, a larger wall or something like that around here. So here's the village, and we'll get you know, I'm gonna turn off let's see. Oh, I think I'm in the wrong workspace because my customized workspace is not there right now. So we're going to switch workspaces again really quickly.
All right.
So yeah, I think that this will be a good one. All right, yeah, that's more comfortable. Okay, so we've got this castle, and we've got a foreground element of like, you know, some and here's like the gatehouse. I learned a lot about castles some time back because, you know, I've mentioned it on the stream before that I am a tabletop gamer, and I had one part of a campaign where we were defending a castle against. Well, my players are defending a castle against this horde of goblinoids and hobgoblins and such. And so I learned a lot about castles just because I like needed to have that castle environment, right? I was making maps and stuff. And this area here is called the gatehouse. And the gatehouse, its function was to trap invaders inside. It was like, you know, kind of like security doors at a bank.
Okay.
For those of you who still go to actual bank branches.
Yeah. It's been years since I've done that. Hey, is your screen share? It got turned off again. Or I can't do it.
I don't know what's going on with my screen share today. What the heck? Stop turning off screen share.
There we go. You're good. I can see it.
Okay. So we're just going to add a couple more towers and a couple other things. And then, you know, we'll put a... turn that off. We'll add some salt shaker people who are kind of heading up to the castle, you know, in groups or something, because there's a big to-do happening in the kingdom today.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what's a typical day of storyboarding look like during a production?
It depends on the day. I mean, it really depends on what stage of the storyboard that you're in. Like, if you are in, I mean, you start with a kickoff meeting, right? Everybody goes in there and says, you have this sequence, you have this sequence, or you have this act of the show, you have that act of the show. so on and so forth. And so that is like, when I'm directing, I like to have all of my board artists in, and we just basically hash out the entire thing. We feed off each other. We, you know, do a lot of little thumbnail boards and Post-it notes and all that kind of stuff. And
so you read the script beforehand?
Yeah. Gotta read the script beforehand. Gotta read the script beforehand. Because like if you show up to that meeting and you're not prepared, like people are gonna be like, okay, you know, you can tell that sometimes people will like try and fake it, you know, and that's always really funny because you're gonna get found out if you try and fake it. You're like, yeah, you know that part of the script where they do the thing, and then you know sometimes if somebody catches you that you haven't read the script, they'd be like, yeah, you know that part of the script where the main character, you know, when he's eating that hot dog and he's like, oh, what is in this? And the guy would be like, yeah, exactly. I know that part. And he's like, it's not in the script, you moron. You know, so read the script, show up prepared. So,
well, I asked because as a prop guy, I don't read the script. I get a list of what they need and like screen grabs of the storyboards, and that's it. So a lot of the times, I don't even know what the episode's about unless I gather it from what I'm drawing. So I like to do that. Have you worked on productions that are outlines only, or is your experience been completed scripts?
My professional experience is completed scripts, but I mean, I'm no stranger to, you know, outline-ish type stuff. Just not in my professional career, because the shows that I've worked on have been more along the lines of, you know, a script-based workflow.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to do this thing with the stands of people.
Nice.
Let's get that and get the stands of people here. We're going to try and simulate some sort of a Wimbledon type look. And we're not going to draw the crowds. We're just going to draw some squiggly dealies right here to say, you know, because again, not pretty drawings, but we are looking at storytelling drawings, right? So we just enough to really get what we're supposed to be looking at more than anything else.
Yeah.
And one of the nice things, again, I always extol the virtues of working in vector. It's just so much like easier to do it that way. But like, you know, right now I'm just holding down shift and drawing straight lines. So it really makes a huge difference with the way that you can operate and draw just really fast.
Yeah.
So let's put down the portcullis right here, and we'll make this kind of a deal.
Yep.
And
incorporate the castle architecture.
Yeah. We got to keep that castle-y look. And let's put the commentators up here. Actually, you know what? We can do something even better than this, I think. Let's get rid of these this squarish look. And we'll put them in like a castle parapet.
Nice, perfect. That's awesome.
Like with the crenellations and all of that.
Man, you did. You learned the terms and everything.
I told you, man. I had to do my castle research.
All right. Tune in next week for Mike's lecture on castle architecture.
Okay, then I think we'll have to do a commentator. Okay, give me some commentator characters. Give me some commentator characters.
Okay. All right, audience. What do we got?
So we're gonna put in some stuff right here. We're gonna put in 2 commentators, and we'll put them with these. Nice.
Well, I was thinking like, what if we did like a Laurel and Hardy type look? You've got the big, you know, the bigger guy, big, you know, shorter, round head, and then you've got the thinner, taller, thinner looking guy for contrast. and a guy named Mike. That came in from from the audience.
A guy named Mike.
We have too many mics already.
Here we
There's
go.
a mic limit. There you go.
We'll have the Duke of Beardington.
Excellent.
You don't want these sad eyes. But we'll put.
He's gonna be excited.
Yeah, it's an exciting day here in the kingdom. And how about those like courtly puff sleeves? You know that the
Yep.
dukes and all of that have. What do they wear on the? Oh, you know what? We're not going to do a hat. I think we just need to do outlandishly fancy hair. Something that is like not found in nature. All right, now we need a second one. So we have a guy named Mike. So
someone said they're wizard. We have a wizard suggestion, and Sonic the Hedgehog showed up. So
well, we can't do copyrighted material, folks. So unfortunately,
yeah, I was just thinking.
Sonic is out, but Wizard is in.
So there we go.
So here we go. Let's do.
What do we have? The stark contrast to the Duke. There we are. Yeah, let's do a wizard. Let's do a pudgy wizard. You don't see pudgy wizards. Let's do that.
I think we're just drawing ourselves right now. I think that's kind of what we're doing. We're just drawing ourselves right now. We got the skinny guy and the chubby wizard. That's essentially the two of us.
Well, there you go. We got the mics, so we're able to make it. There you go. Perfect. Did I ever tell you why I shaved my beard down?
What?
Did I tell you? So during the pandemic, I let my beard grow. So it got to a good, 6 inches or so.
Yeah.
And after the, all the regulations lifted, my brothers and I went to a Dodgers game and we took pictures. We were having fun. And I came home and I'm scrolling through the pictures to show my family. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I look homeless. So that's when I decided to shave my beard down. Fun beard fact for people listening.
Yeah, that is fun beard fact. I mean, I think that every so often, I have to trim, otherwise I do also look like a homeless man. So, especially if I have so I have this one hoodie that I love, right? Because it's super comfortable. It's been through things. It's got holes in it. It's not pretty. But at the same token, I still wear it every so often. So I have to make sure that when I do, my hair isn't grown out weird, or I have to make sure that I maintain a nice look. Otherwise, I do look like a hobo. I call it when I get into hobo territory.
Yeah.
So personal grooming does make a difference. I think I think also when we talk about soft skills, right? That has kind of become a term that a lot of people use when they're doing job training type stuff. And, especially in school, I feel like especially in high schools and stuff, they start talking a lot more about soft skills in the fact that, just interpersonal relationships between different people, right? And I think appearance does matter. Mm-hmm. How you carry yourself, how you present yourself matters. And so mm-hmm. It's one of those things where you can decide how you look. I mean, obviously, you know, there's a time element there, right? But what you can control is how people perceive you, right? That's out of your control. You can control how you present yourself. You can control a lot of things about yourself, but you know, one of the things you can't really control is other people's perception of you. So, you know, put your best foot forward, especially when you're going out to places and meeting people, because, you know, they're not going to know you from anybody else. So, you know, it behooves you to do well. Okay, so we've got the castle, we've got we're set the stage and the commentary. You know, we're gonna have a great game today. We've got you know, the knights are coming, and yeah, yeah, Fat Wizard Mike, we're gonna have some really good contestants today. That sort of thing.
There's 4 mics now. Today is Mike Day. We've got Mike and Mike, and you're drawing another Mike and Mike. So,
yeah. And so I think one thing that we're gonna do right here is I'm gonna copy and paste that, and I'm gonna stick this at the end because we're gonna have some reuse that we're gonna do here.
Smart.
And we're also gonna have like a slight pull out or truck out for those of you that like that term instead. I'm gonna also duplicate that really quickly because oftentimes I find it's just easier and more time efficient to put in those truck outs before you duplicate the panel, because otherwise you're going to be duplicating the keyframes as well, which isn't necessarily ideal. Okay, so I'm going to just tilt him a little bit. Because you got to show the long wizard robe sleeves, right?
Excellent, yeah.
Because if you don't have long wizard robe sleeves, then, I mean, again,
are you really a wizard?
What are the other wizards going to think if you show up with short sleeves? They're going to be like, what, are you from Harry Potter? You're like, no. No, I like Harry Potter. I think it's got a cool world, but if I had my choice between a wand and a staff, I mean, staff's cooler. You can not only use a staff to you know, cast your magical spells, but if you need to whack some dude who's trying to burn his kid alive in a high tower in Middle Earth, then you can just whack that dude with your staff.
There you go. Exactly.
And then tell people to prepare for battle because the orcs are coming and they're not you know, going to be friendly about their visit.
Exactly.
Sorry, for those of you who aren't familiar with Lord of the Rings, get familiar with Lord of the Rings because it's freaking awesome.
Yeah. Exactly.
There we go. That's going to be my cool wizard staff there.
I like it.
All right. And then
okay, so I got another personal question for
you. What's that?
Storyboarding. A personal storyboarding question for you. Let me
yes.
rephrase that. Do you prefer action sequences or do you prefer comedy bits?
I like them both. I can't really decide.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can't really decide. All right, so one of the things that I have right now is now my thing's going out of frame, so I have to just reframe. But one of the cool things is it's not changing my keyframes here. It's only changing the last one that you see in the group. So he's going to pull out his staff. Okay. And so, you know, in that way, we don't necessarily have to, you know, go back to that previous frame and like start messing with it again. You can, it'll just affect the last keyframe that's in the set. So that's one of the.
Okay.
It's a very convenient thing, just as a matter of course. For you know what, I'm gonna.
Okay.
Okay, so. And then we're going to have a wizard moment for a second there.
Okay. So you're making up for the pudgy wizard by giving yourself a close-up with powers.
Oh, what? Giving him a close-up with electric eyes?
You're giving yourself a close-up with powers. Yeah.
Let's see.
Trying to think of a variation of "You shall not pass."
That's kind of what I was thinking too, of that sort of that sort of a thing too. But there's a really fun YouTube, and I mean, I think they're on TikTok and stuff as well. But this guy does these like storyboard based like little comedy bits, and a lot of it has to do with like D&D and wizards and stuff, and all the wizards.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they cast funny spells, you know, and some of the wizard disses are pretty funny too.
Yeah,
like when they there was one that cast like, what was it? They cast something like female repulsion. He's like, I would cast that on you, but it looks like someone beat me to it. You know, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's Punky Doodles, right? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. So we'll have like some sort of thing where, you know, he's waving it around, and if we had more time, we would like, you know, we would expand on that, but we don't. So
we had a fun comment.
Like one of those shots where it would just basically be animated in frame instead of, you know, and there's all kinds of different tricks you can do with it, but for the purposes of this, we're just going to do it as an in-game thing or in-frame thing, and then we'll copy and paste this. Copy it, and we'll paste it, and have it, you know, be like whoosh going out to everybody.
Nice.
As he you know, slams the staff down. Or we'll just do this so it actually relates. Maybe it won't be a slam down of "You shall not pass," but more of a, you know, blinding flash of light.
It blinds the knights playing tennis. They're like sitting there for a second trying to recover.
All right, let's do a new shot.
Okay.
And we'll have it be from inside where the knights would come out, right? And we'll have I'm gonna layer this up a little bit here. So I'm gonna put this, what we call an overlay underlay. Are you familiar with that term? I mean, I'm sure you come across it. Can you explain to people what overlay underlay is?
Yes. Well, it's from the onion skin, correct? You know, the overlay. Well, are we talking about the layers of a background?
We're talking about the layers of like how you set up animation.
Okay.
So like an overlay,
so
underlay
overlay is a layer over. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a layer that has stuff that goes over it and under it. So in this case, the background is going to be this, you know, like tennis court type deal. And then you've got, you know, the opposing thing over there. And, you know, it is really important when you're doing animation and when you're doing storyboards that you're laying things out in a responsible and logical way. Because, again, people are going to have to follow you up. And the better you set up your scenes, the easier it's going to be for them to follow up on your work, which means the more people like you because you make their job easier, which means the director is going to like you, and that means the director is going to want to bring you back because you're not a pain in the butt, right? And you're not sloppy. Like I've directed on stuff and I've seen people's work come back, and there's like layers everywhere and they're all named different stuff. And I look at that and I'm like, oh gosh, this is going to take me forever to do. It's going to take me forever to fix it. And so like, don't be that guy that is going to make more work for your director because you can't be bothered to, you know, do what you need to do to make it proper in the first place. Because again, people notice that kind of stuff too.
So
you know?
thinking in terms of when this leaves my desk and goes to the next stage of the production pipeline, you know, how can I make it easy enough to read that they can still have fun doing their job, but make it to where they're not having to interpret or guess what you've wanted to do?
Yeah. Well, not necessarily that they don't have to guess what you're going to do. It's that they don't have to redo the work. Because, like, you know, if you have something that is named a bunch of different things in a bunch of different layers, it's going to be hard to work on because the layers are constantly switching back and forth between panels, which means that's one extra thing that you've got to do to even work on it. And so half the time, you know, you can like kick it back to the artist and be like, hey, well, gives, man, you know, let's get this shaped up. And in that case, sure, you can. Or if you have a revisionist on hand, yeah, sure, you could probably farm it out to them or whatever. But if you're, you know, working late at night and you've got a deadline the next day or whatever, you're not going to have that luxury. And so you're going to have to do it yourself. And what's going to happen is that you're going to be basically like cursing this dude's name because now you're at the studio until late at night, you know, which you don't necessarily want to do, but have to do half the time because, you know, the buck stops with you as a director. So, you know, if I can hazard a little bit of advice to those looking to get into storyboarding professionally, like just make sure that your work is going to make your directors' lives easier and not make them harder. Because then, you know, I mean, you know that everybody kind of in the back of their mind forms a crew. Like when you're working on stuff.
Who they like working with.
Yeah. And you like working with each other, and you're going to work with each other, you know, over the period of several years most of the time. And so, you know, you get to know who you can rely on and who maybe you can't. And so, like, the people you can rely on are going to come back because you're like, I've got to have this guy on my crew or I've got to have this girl on my crew because they're going to pull through for me, and I know they will. All right, so we've got this view here, and we're going to copy this panel, and we're going to put this we're going to raise Oh gosh, the names on the tip of my tongue. What this is called? Portcullis. The portcullis. We're raising the portcullis.
There you go. That's right.
I mean, you knew that the whole time. You could have told me.
I thought so, but I didn't want to say something and have you correct me. I already kind of dropped the ball with underlay, overlay.
Okay, so the portcullis is up, and we're going to have our noble knight step into the scene here with the big pauldrons for the armor. And let's turn off the draw behind again. And I am going to get my lines back into black because that's going to stand out against this a little bit better.
Okay.
And of course, anything with steampunk's got to have gears on it. So we're going to...
Yep, I was just about to say, don't forget steampunk.
So we're going to have some gears. Just... There was a meme that I saw one time. It's like, you want it to be steampunk? Slap some gears on it. Call it good. Obviously, there's more involved with that.
You should do the tennis racket as a giant gear with the netting in the middle.
Oh, another thing that we need also from steampunk is that steampunk knights wear top hats.
Yes.
And for some reason, the goggles go above the brim and not actually over the eyes.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that might make your workflow just a little faster and easier. Like if you've got something like this that you need to duplicate, you can just grab the vectors, copy and paste them, and then flip them.
Oh, nice.
And then also we're just going to get him right framed properly within there. So there's a little bit of space and we can see everything, you know, pretty clearly.
Yeah. Taking composition into account.
Yes. And then also another trick is to just seal these off, like seal off any kind of gaps and such. And then I'm going to tap a little. I created a keyboard shortcut to make auto matting really easy. So now I've got this auto mat, and I can go to the auto mat layer and just change the color.
Nice.
So that's one of the things that makes storyboarding in Storyboard Pro like way faster and easier than the alternative.
Okay.
All right, now we can do one more panel. I'm going to copy and paste this panel again or duplicate it using this little key right here. And then we'll just do one more thing. I'm going to select both of these layers, Control A to copy them all, and then just move it around so it looks like he's walking out. Right? So now we have
cool
a new panel, and we're going to do an upshot here. Gets a nice neutral gray, and let's draw a little kind of a plane here. And we'll put this, like drawing a really quick background for the thing he's coming out of.
Okay.
And then we'll put like the stands up here. And then we'll put some people. No. And then have him step forward into the scene. And do like one of those night type deals. He's got the gears on the side, but he's got the same, like, you know, trappings.
Yeah, the visor.
We'll even give him bigger pauldrons. You know, we can go here, and sometimes there'll be little things like that that you'll have to add to stuff. And I added it to the wrong layer, so don't do that. Make sure your stuff's on the right layer, because you can always go back and edit things too, which makes this a lot easier. Using the eyedropper tool, and I'm just gonna, you know, just do a quick little color in. I suppose right there I could do this and put the cauldron in, but I don't care how that looks right there. Again, that's on the wrong layer, so we can't have that. Cut, paste, draw in the wrong color.
Nice.
Good. There we go. So we've got Homeboy coming up. Our steampunk knight. We're going to put him nice and big in frame. He's coming out all super cool with his top hat and night visor.
Night visor with a K.
Huh? What'd you say?
I said night visor with a K.
Yeah.
A knight visor.
Knigget visor. For those of you who are still Monty Python fans. You know,
exactly.
When it comes to comedy, though, I feel like myself, I love silly comedy, just like absurdist comedy. For some reason, that's one of my favorite. It makes me laugh like nothing else. Like, I love absurdist comedy. All right, and let's make a copy of this, and then we'll do a small settle, and we'll pop him down and maybe do like this really quick, and then copy that, and we'll have steam sort of come out of the joints.
Nice.
Right? Even out of his hat, because why not? It's coming out of the face. And then I think what the play right here is, I'm going to copy that, and let's do a big old pull out. And we'll get this into one of those action poses, because he's gonna reveal his super technologically advanced tennis racket.
Okay.
Again, I'm going to copy another frame, so it makes it easier on the back end when I'm doing my camera move. So I don't have to go in and delete things. And I'm gonna make sure, one of the things that I do like to do in a lot of these is make sure I give a little bit of space on the top of the frame, as well as all the space on the bottom too, because I don't know, for me the pullout feels just a little bit more natural. You know, sometimes we do a lot of this sort of thing where we're having to move in that, but when it comes to these like more dramatic pullouts, I like to just leave a little bit of space on the top, because to me it just feels more natural. Okay. And then I'm going to do this, grab that guy, and then one of the tools that I don't think I use enough, or I think I should use more, is this perspective tool. So I'm gonna go to this panel though, and we're going to go back to the previous version without the steam on it. And I'm going to copy and paste that into this panel, and then getting out my perspective tool, I'm just going to do a quick and dirty perspective job on this one. And there's a couple different things you can do. There's a perspective and lattice. I tend to use lattice because I have a little bit more control over the result.
Okay.
That's just my personal preference, though. Then just move him up a little bit, and then have this, like, you know, cool racket kind of like be produced, you know, like he's ready for battle now.
Nice.
It would be like, you know, in sections where it would probably come up. We don't have time to animate that, yo. Let us know in the chat too if you guys would ever want to actually get your hands on some of these storyboard files yourself from our stream, because I think that's probably something that we could accommodate.
Okay.
If you guys want to actually mess around with these same files that I'm working on after the fact, and you know, play around with it.
Now, I'm sure you've answered this question before previously, but I'm going to ask it anyway for those who might be new to the stream. What do you enjoy most about storyboarding, about the craft of storyboarding?
I like it when a joke hits.
Okay.
I like it when a joke lands. Like when you're in a meeting and, you know, you've got something that you've been working on and you show it to people and they laugh at the parts they're supposed to laugh at, or get concerned, or, you know, or get excited at parts they're supposed to get excited about. That's what I love the most, I think. And the creativity that's surrounding, like, the creativity that just surrounds the process, right? There's going to be parts where, I mean, you know, they call it murdering your darlings, where you have to let go of things that you think are super cool because it just doesn't fit with the story as a whole. But that's what deleted scenes are for now, right?
There you go.
So, like, even if it's not going to be seen like right away, you can still have it. And I'm just going to copy and paste that. So we have Steam release and then strike a pose.
Nice.
Then we're just going to have some of the steam just kind of like, you know, dissipating off of that. And then we're going to take this exact same shot. I'm going to copy that. And we're going to do a quick insert shot of our two wizards. And then we're going to take this same shot, paste it. Oh, looks like it didn't copy and paste for me for some reason. Probably because I did something else in between. And then I'm going to come up here to Storyboard, and I am going to flip the selected scene. So now we've got the opposite view, right?
Nice.
So here we're gonna do an insert shot of our two wizards, or our commentators, I should say, because I don't know if Lord Beardington is a wizard or not, but I imagine he's much more of the.
He's a normie.
Yeah, just the roguish persuasion.
Exactly. Scoundrel.
In his years before getting into royal life, he was a highwayman and a scoundrel, and somehow got his way into polite society.
He conned his way in for a score and then just ended up staying because he enjoyed the perks. Are there any other things you can think of that storyboard artists should consider about the productions that they're boarding for?
Oh, there's tons. There's lots of things to consider. Like, you know, there's a balance also that I feel like a lot of people have to do with, you know, sort of the stuff that you work on. Obviously, if you're doing this to make a living, you got to make a living. That's what you've got to do. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you're going to have a portfolio of work that you've worked on, right? So you're going to have shows that you worked on and shows that, you know, maybe you did for the money and some that you did maybe for passion. But if you can, if you're good, that you're able to kind of go where you please a lot of the time, then, you know, you'll be able to pick some of the shows that you work on a little bit with a little bit more, I don't want to say pickiness, but like, again, you know, you probably want to curate your own body of work. Yeah. You want to work on shows that you can say that you're, you know, proud to work on. Ideally, that's not always going to be the case, because sometimes, again, you got to make a living, and if somebody's offering you something that you can capitalize on, then, you know, hey, it's work. Do it. Do the work and still do a good job, even if you don't like the work. Because, again, that's your reputation, you know? And if there's one thing that you need in this business, it's to have a good reputation. All right, so we need another character just really fast. What do we have in the chat? What do we got for other characters?
As far as character, we have, well, someone changed Sonic the Hedgehog into Zonic the Squirrel. So if you wanted to lean into a Chuck Jones type, you could come up with a anthropomorphic animal character.
Not
I do have a question from the audience.
Yes.
We have To Infinity and Brayon asked, what advice do you have for trying to get into an industry where the jobs are at a low at the moment?
Just produce things. We were also talking before the stream of how it has never been easier to be an independent creator than it is now. There are so many outlets and so many avenues for you as a creator that you don't even necessarily, you know, working at a studio is great. You meet a lot of really great people. You have a little bit more stability in your career. You have a little bit more opportunity for, you know, cool stuff like going to parties and going to, you know, industry events and all of that thing. But at the end of the day, you don't really need that. What you need is your artistic passion. You need to make stuff. Like, your drive to make things is what is going to push you through. Like, not necessarily the prestige of working in a studio or the, you know, the perks and benefits that come with it. Those are nice. Those are awesome. And working in studios can be really, really fun. But the tools are here. Your passion and your creativity is here. YouTube and Rumble and TikTok and Instagram and all these other things are here for you to use. So create some stuff and make it really cool. All right, so we've done some scrolls before. you know, for some reason, I really, really feel like what we need here, since it's a knight, is some sort of dragon. But I think maybe not a serious dragon. Maybe he's like part chameleon.
With his eyes.
We've done chameleons before on the stream. I found one the other day. But I think that this, you know, might be funny.
Okay, we got a comment that I wanted to read. Chico and Jumanji said, "I love planning it all there." I'm assuming it's talking about Toon Boom. "And I love using it for the keyframes, poses for the character. It helps when I move it into harmony when I animate. It helps with pacing and the music and etc." So the biggest issue I have trouble working through is that I have a scene with 7 panels in it with many layers. And the layers are named differently from one panel to the other, but I want to make the entire thing or everything resized. I want it all smaller or larger, but how do I do that? Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does, and I will show you how to do that.
There we go.
So let's get this guy in here, and I'm gonna copy this, right? Well, actually, before I do that, I'm going to shrink this guy down. Oh, I put him on the wrong layer. So since I drew him different colors, it's gonna be easy to separate. Boom, done.
Nice.
Okay, so I'm gonna make this guy as small as I can, right? Now he's too small. And I'm going to duplicate that, but now he's too small in this scene. So I'm going to make sure that I am on the one layer. If they have to be on layers that are matching. So that might be a little bit of cleanup on your part, my friend. And again, layer management is a thing. Do it out the gate. So, but if you hold down Control or Command, if you're on a Mac, and then Shift, and then click to the next panel, now what you've got is the ability to size things over multiple panels.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So now I've got this guy here, and if you notice, both panels are updated. So I can put this guy in here, and let's see, he can be wearing some sort of, you know, tank top or something like that. He's got some scales on him. You know, let's give him some extra little frills. He looks kind of more like a little lizard man than a dragon, I guess, right now. But
yeah,
maybe we'll put, instead of these shoulder frills, I know what we need. That shoulder frills makes him look more lizardy. What we need is small little dragon wings.
There you go. Ooh, here's an interesting question for you.
Yep.
Fattest Penguin says, making a stylized 3D pilot at the moment. Currently boarding it in 2D. Do you think it's best to board in 2D for a 3D show?
Depends on what your pipeline is. I mean, you can board in 3D in Toon Boom for sure. It does take a little bit more setup. It just depends on how you want it, how you want to ingest into the 3D program, right? I mean, and it also depends on what 3D software you're using, right? Like if you're using Maya, if you're using Cinema 4D, if you're using Blender, each of them have a different way that they operate. So
okay.
You know, it's really going to be up to the package that you select as your animation tool. But yeah, like Storyboard Pro, you can do a bunch of different output formats and have those sort of translate. So, you know, you can always make movies and import those into your 3D package, or you could, you know, I don't know if you can export from Storyboard Pro if you do it in 3D as an FBX. I'm not sure. So, I mean, that's something you can look in the research or in the notes and documents and stuff, and you know, go from there. I'm not sure if we're gonna have time to do those commercials like we had thought we were gonna do, which would have been really cool, and it was a great idea. But sometimes you run out of time.
Going back to that question that you just did as far as the resizing everything. So the layers the layer names should be the same, correct?
Exactly
They need to be the same. Exactly the same. Does it matter what order they're in, or do they need to be in the same order as well?
Doesn't matter what order they're in, as long as they have the same name. Because what happens is, like, if you notice, when I go back and forth between these two, that the highlighted layer on the layers on the right here, the blue one, it stays consistent. So if I go to D, it's going to stay consistent. But watch, if I go and I'm going to make this Z, right? If I go to Z, I'm going to put Z down at the bottom. And I go to the previous panel, it goes to E.
Okay.
Is there's, I mean, in this case, I'm using a new version, so it recognizes a few things. So there could be some changes on that front where it recognizes layer to layer. But generally, you want to keep everything the same name. That's why, and another thing you can do is when you come up here to layers, there's a really handy thing called set layout as default. So I have everything set up by default as thumbs, BG, and then A through E. That's my default layer. Cool. So now when I do a new panel, instantly all of those layers are created already because that's the default layer setup. And then let's do one more panel of this guy. And I am going to just take a few of these elements and gonna switch them around a little bit and do a little bit of, again, some of that perspectiving. And he's gonna take a big old deep breath. Oh, I'm going to copy this first. Comes out, puts his racket up. First deep breath. Did I get rid of deep breath? Yeah, I did. I accidentally deleted deep breath. Let's have his little tongue right here. And then duplicate. I'm going to take this. And then we're also going to mimic that other camera move. So I can just take these camera frames right here, copy those. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to make a copy again because I'm going for convenience here. If I push home on my keyboard, it also will go to the very front of that frame, which is a really simple method. Looks like I did too much in between, so I'm going to copy and then go to that frame, home, and then paste. So now I have those frames that I had before from the other side, and I'm going to put it up here instead because what our little homeboy here is going to do is blow a fireball.
Nice.
So he's going to light his light his racket on fire. So I'm going to get some nice some squash into that drawing. So we have a good change of shape right here.
Yep.
And then, you know, gotta love the sound effects. I don't know how many of you sound off in the chat. How many of you storyboard with your own personal sound effects?
Well, that's everybody. I do that.
And then we'll have like a big old a couple little after flames dissipating.
Yeah, dissipations. Nicely done.
Then we can cut back to these guys. And I'm just going to copy that panel and paste it right there. And they're just going to be like, whoa, you know. As we see a little bit of the flame come over. And that was impressive, you know, like, like that sort of thing. Copy and paste. All right, and now sometimes it'll copy and paste into a new scene. We don't want that, so we can just grab this and then drag it over until we see that it's got like this little green spot. It's kind of hard to see at scale like this, but you can drag into the other layer and it'll integrate with that other layer, with that other panel or that scene. Sorry, that particular scene. It'll integrate back in, and you don't have to worry about it. And we're just going to change a couple of things here. See these guys sort of talking to one another. That was an impressive display of fireballery. I don't know. What's the right word? An express pyrotechnics, maybe?
Oh, no, I like that. There you go, pyrotechnics.
Fireballery. So now we need to add some legs here too. And we'll put like those like high shorts on him.
I was just thinking that, like those, you know, 80s era, 70s, 80 era tennis shorts.
And a big dragon tail. And now his
Hey, Mike, what surprised you the most?
What?
Oh, sorry. There you go. I was going to ask you, what surprised you the most when you first started working as a storyboard artist? What surprises did you not expect that ended up showing up?
I think one of the things that a lot of people don't really count on is the fact that you have to know how to draw a bunch of different stuff. And stuff, I mean, we've covered this a little bit on the show before, but like stuff that you're not necessarily comfortable drawing, you still have to draw.
Okay.
And like if you're not good at drawing cars, for instance, like I'm not terribly good at drawing cars. I'd rather grab a 3D model and put it in there and call it a day. But like, you know, there are instances where you're going to have to draw stuff that you're not comfortable drawing. And bummer for you that you're not comfortable with it, but that's the part of the job, right? And you have to learn how to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's like a lot of things in life.
That. That's kind of
like,
yeah.
You know, John Cleese from Monty Python has a really, really good lecture on creativity that he did years and years and years ago, right? And one of the things that he said was that, you know, a lot of people, when they're doing comedy and when they're doing creative work, they look for the easy solution. Because when you have a problem that you're dealing with, oftentimes it makes you uncomfortable. Like creative problems especially can make you really uncomfortable. You want to solve the problem. You want to make or get a solution. And I think especially men, a lot of times men tend to obsess over problems and how to solve problems. And I think the ladies are better at talking it out in their minds, you know, just sort of working through that thing. But maybe it doesn't bother them quite as much. But I know for me, like sometimes having a problem like that, I just run it through and run it through. So the more comfortable I am with being uncomfortable, the more chances of success I have to actually solve the problem.
Yeah, I like that. I think as artists, that's key, regardless of what your discipline is, whether it be storyboarding or character design or prop design or concept or viz dev, whatever you do. If you get comfortable, you're not really evolving. So using different materials, using different even just genres. If you're not comfortable writing, learning to write is the best way to kind of beat that feeling. Bill Watterson said that. He said the best way to learn how to write and draw is by writing and drawing. So I've always liked that. As artists, we need to evolve or die. Essentially, it's like if you are so stuck in doing something, and you're only doing what is comfortable for you, then unfortunately that might kind of take you out of the running for some things.
Yeah, it'll come back and bite you for sure. So let's just make this kind of quick here. We've got our knight with his cool technological tennis racket and his steampunk hat. Versus our dragon man. I forgot he doesn't have angry eyes. He's got a headband between his horns.
I like that. Not touching anywhere where he'd be sweating, but it's on there. Have you found over the course of your career, Mike, that there are things that you like, practices that you've done for yourself to kind of get better? Like you say, you don't enjoy drawing vehicles. You prefer to put a 3D model in. Have you set aside time to like work on that at all? Or you just kind of still stick with the 3D model, trying to find a 3D model?
Oh, I do 3D modeling. I'm very basic. For sure. I'm very basic, but I learned how to do it. But I learned how to do it because I like 3D printing. And 3D printing, I want to make my own stuff with 3D printing. So I kind of was like, all right, well, I want to learn how to model. And now I have a reason. But it's come in handy for a lot of other stuff and creatively. Like, working with files and illustrations and stuff. Right now, as you well know, my company that I founded last July is working on an illustration project for a client. And, we are doing a lot in that space. And sometimes we have things that are just easier to model and put in and then paint over than they are to, painstakingly do all the perspective work. And it's not like we can't do it. We can do it. We just have deadlines we've got to meet. And so it's just faster to put in the 3D model and call it a day.
We got a comment about our evolving as artists. The plural of zero said, I once had a teacher who said specialization is for insects, to say that we have to learn a bit of everything. I like that. Yeah.
Specialization is for what?
For insects.
Oh.
For bugs.
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. I would agree with that, but only partially. And I'll tell you why. Because sometimes having a specialty, you are like the go-to person for that thing. You know, I've heard the exact opposite advice, that you should be a specialist. You know, it's like the In-N-Out burger principle for those of you living in California and parts out here in the Western United States. They make hamburgers and they claim to make fries. I don't like their fries. But their burgers are really, really good. And that's because they do the one thing. They make burgers, and that's what they make. And not like a bunch of other things. Like, they're not diversifying their deal. They're just making burgers, you know?
We got 10 minutes left. Janelle just told me let's get the animatic running.
Janelle says a lot of things.
And I agree with you. I've had the same thought. There's those, like, I know people that specialize in certain styles and they excel in that. And I know that there are others that are kind of Renaissance, you know, people, that they can do a little bit of everything. And I think it just comes down to what works for you. And then, again, if you have that good reputation, it doesn't matter. You'll be able to find work on a consistent basis because you have that reputation. So
yeah, well, absolutely. And you know, I'm not saying that you shouldn't diversify. You should absolutely be as versatile as possible. You should be able to make your own films. That's my personal opinion. You should be able to be a one-stop shop should you want to. But by the same token, like, you know, sometimes being part of a team, if you're part of a team and you're a specialist within a team, you know, then that works really well. Because you know, I always say, like, in every production, every producer builds a machine, right? They have a machine, and that's just how the machine is built, with different people filling different roles, right? The same way a car needs a steering wheel and tires and a windshield and mirrors and all that stuff. Everybody has a function within this producer's machine, right? And if you are a person that can fit into several different roles in that machine, that means you're going to be working more often than somebody who is not specializing. But by the same token, like, if you are like the bonkers best dude at what you do, like, you know, like the In-N-Out or Wolverine or one of those things where you're the best you are at what you do, like, that's also a very, very, very strong selling point. Because if you can do stuff that other people can't do, or not even, like, you know, you have a little bit of leverage, right? You can command a little bit more of a salary negotiating point. There's pros and cons, like there are to everything.
Yeah. I was going to make a joke that we just said, be specific, but also be diverse. So that wasn't very helpful. No, but it's true. I think it depends on who you are as an artist. I think it depends on where you gravitate toward. You know, like I said, I have friends, and I'm sure you do too, that they are really good at comedy, but so at action. And then there are others that are like really good at action and choreography, as far as laying out a fight sequence or a really cool chase scene. And so, you know, it really depends on you as an artist and what your interests are and where you find yourself gravitating towards. So, you know, do what makes you happy, truthfully. Like, if you enjoy doing chase scenes, then, you know, work to make that as strong as possible. But, you know, it never hurts to have another arrow in your quiver, so to speak.
Yeah. And, you know, being versatile is really, really great. Have you ever seen the old Warner Brothers short, The Scarlet Pumpernickel?
Yeah.
Do you remember the first part of that? Where Daffy Duck is begging to have a dramatic part because he's like, "All I do is comedy. Ha 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 ha, yuck yuck. I just want to have a dramatic part." You know, and that can be you as a storyboard artist sometimes, because if you're really good at action and drama and stuff like that, then chances are you're going to do a lot of that, and it might be harder to, do comedy stuff and vice versa. Like if you're doing comedy stuff, maybe people don't necessarily trust you to do dramatic stuff because they haven't seen that you can do it. But at the same time, that's where personal work comes in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a good point. You've got all those channels to put it on. So,
all right. So we need just a very, very short, satisfying ending. I think we can go like, the ball's going this way and it's steaming. And then we're going to cut to a new thing. And let's duplicate. Actually, before we do that, we're going to put our two guys over here watching this, and the audience just, classic tennis match type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other one comes back, and it's on fire again. And then copy and paste. And we can do that like a couple of times. And then, we'll get Knight here with his cool hat and everything. And he gets serious, snorting some steam out to show he's serious. And then we're going to cut to the other guy, his upshot. And he's looking super prepared with his stuff. And then he leans forward. And then we get a little bit of time for him to to lick his eyeball. Like they do.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, we're going to cut back to the opening shot. And we're just going to see boom. And then we'll cut back to the original shot of our commentators. Who are now all like burnt up.
Yeah, charred. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're just going to do it really, really fast. And, part of your mustache is going to be on fire.
There you go.
All right, let's run it through. Ready? Here we go.
Right.
There is a big to-do in the kingdom today as the annual Knights tennis match tournament begins. With a daring crowd today, let's introduce our let's see our tennis players. First on let's see, what should we do here? It's going to be a great game, as I think the two knights that we've chosen for today's match are really well matched. I think so too. Let's introduce our guys. First of all, let's start. Alakazam! Ba-boom! And then everything starts. And we reveal, hailing from nowhere sure is Steampunk Night. Ah, yeah. And hailing. So he comes out. And then. And he's got his racket ready to go. All right, he's a strong contender. And in the other corner, and we see the lizard guy come out, and he's like growling. He puts up his tennis racket. And a big fireball, and the whole crowd goes, whoa, that was a big entrance from our friend, the Dragon Man. This is going to be an interesting match. And then they start squaring off. Love, love. And he's throwing at the ball, and then whack, he hits it. And the knight returns it. Whack, hardly even moving except for the one arm. Just boom, almost like a construct. And then the ball comes over, whoosh, and it's covered in steam. Boosh, it's covered in fire. Boosh, it's covered in steam. Boosh, it's covered in fire. And it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until people start looking nervous. And you see this guy is determined. You see, lick. And then, boo. Living up to history, this has been another night tournament. Good night, everybody. And that's it. That's our storyboard for today. Oh, I should have put the camera view on. That would have been nice.
There we go.
So looking over it, that is the more proper part of Collaboratory, is seeing this in the actual camera view, because I think it makes so much more difference when we see it like playing through.
There you go.
It's much more cinematic than you see it in the stage.
Yep.
As we run through this little bit here and see like kind of how I should have pitched it in the first place. That's what happens sometimes when we run out of time. We get a little flustered and things have to be done over the right way.
All righty, Mike, you got anything that you projects, topics you want to draw our attention to? Draw, pun intended.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, coming up in this May in Ontario, California at the Convention Center is going to be Comic-Con Revolution, where you will be able to see me in person and Mr. Mike Collins as well. We will each have a booth, and we're going to be doing some animation programming for the show. Mm-hmm. So if you want to come meet us and talk with us and, just be able to listen to really cool panels from awesome people, then come on down to the show if you're in Southern California. It's a fun show.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun show. You should be there. It's the great vibe, great audience, and a lot of animation folk that like to attend. So that'd be awesome. Okay. Thank you to everybody who joined us at the Collaboratory. If Mike Morris can draw this in 90 minutes plus, think about what you can draw in 3 weeks. You can download a 21-day trial of Storyboard Pro from the website at toonboom.com and find free video tutorials at learn.toonboom.com. And if you're looking for more interviews, be sure to visit blog.toonboom.com for articles about storyboarding, animation, and 2D games. Until next time, keep them pencils moving.
See you guys.
Bye.